The U.S. military has released video of yet another Chinese fighter jet harassing and flying dangerously close to a U.S. military plane.
It's huge, super efficient, and most importantly, it is deadlier than you can imagine. The U.S. Army has finally revealed the new Blacksnake Super A-10 Warthog, a magnificent sight to behold. This aircraft is engineered to perform extraordinary feats in modern combat. It has immense firepower and is purpose-built to tackle a variety of missions and, of course, enemies of the United States, all while prioritizing the safety of its pilots. But the truth is, this combat aircraft hasn't always been so super. The first A-10 flight took place in May 1972, resulting in the production of 713 aircraft. By 1984, the A-10's production had ceased. This aerospace giant was initially created by Fairchild Republic, which became part of Northrop Grumman, and has been the primary contractor for the A-10 since 1987. But what exactly could have necessitated the invention of such an aircraft? Let's take a spin back in time and look at the situations that called for the rise of the A-10 Warthog. After the Second World War, there was a scarcity of attack aircraft in the United States. During the period when tactical aircraft design was primarily geared towards the delivery of nuclear weapons using high-speed models like the McDonnell F-101 Voodoo and Republic F-105 Thunderchief, the United States found itself in the Vietnam War with the aging Korean War-era Douglas A-1 Skyraider as its primary ground attack aircraft. While the A-1 Skyraider possessed a respectable payload capacity and extended waiting time, its propeller-driven design was not good enough. It rendered it relatively slow and prone to ground-based attacks. The Air Force and Navy experienced the loss of 266 A-1 Skyraiders in combat in Vietnam, primarily due to small arms fire and lack of necessary firepower. As a result, the absence of a modern conventional attack capability led to calls for a specialized attack aircraft. On June 7, 1961, Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara directed the U.S. Air Force to develop two tactical aircraft, one for long-range strike and interception, and the other tailored for the fighter bomber role. The former project became the Tactical Fighter Experimental, intended to serve as a common design for both the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Navy. This effort resulted in the General Dynamics F-111 Aardvark. The latter role was filled by a version of the U.S. Navy's McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II, while the Phantom became one of the most successful fighter designs of the 1960s and proved to be a capable fighter bomber. It faced challenges due to its limited waiting time and low-speed performance. However, this performance was nothing compared to the Skyraider's performance. The Phantom was also very expensive to acquire and operate, with a flyaway cost of $2 million in FY 1965, equivalent to $18.6 million today, and operational costs exceeding $900 per hour, equivalent to $8,000 per hour today. That is quite a lot for an aircraft that wasn't exactly meeting their expectations. They were running at a huge loss, and something had to be done quickly. After a very comprehensive review of its tactical force structure, the U.S. Air Force decided to introduce a cost-effective aircraft to complement the F-4 and F-111. Initially, they explored the Northrop F-5, which possessed air-to-air capabilities. However, in 1965, a cost-effectiveness assessment shifted their attention to the more economical A-7D variant of the LTV A-7 Corsair II, resulting in a contract award. Unfortunately, the cost of this aircraft escalated when demands were made for an enhanced engine and new avionics. On September 8, 1966, General John P. McConnell, Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force, issued an order for the design, development, and acquisition of a specialized close air support aircraft. On December 22nd, a Requirements Action Directive was issued for the AX Close Air Support aircraft, leading to the establishment of the Attack Experimental AX Program Office. By March 6, 1967, the U.S. Air Force had released a request for information to 21 defense contractors regarding the AX, with severe threats for the Soviet armored forces and increased weather attack operations. The Air Force was obviously under much pressure. By May 1970, a more detailed request for proposals was issued by the U.S. Air Force. They knew exactly what they needed: a complete field monster. The new requirements specified that the aircraft should be purpose-built to accommodate the 30 mm rotary cannon. The request also outlined a maximum speed of 460 miles per hour, a takeoff distance of 4,000 feet, an external load capacity of 16,000 pounds, a mission radius of 285 miles, and a unit cost of $1.40 million. The AX would mark the first time the U.S. Air Force designed an aircraft exclusively for close air support. During this period, a separate request for proposals was released for the AX 30 mm cannon with specifications for a high rate of fire, 4,000 rounds per minute, and high muzzle velocity. As expected, many companies were eager to get their hands on that contract and make their mark on the U.S. Air Force. Although 6 companies submitted aircraft proposals, Northrop and Fairchild Republic in Germantown, Maryland, were selected to build the YA-9A and YA-10A prototypes, respectively. General Electric and Philco Ford were chosen to construct and test GAU-8 cannon prototypes. 2 YA-10 prototypes were manufactured at the Republic factory in Farmingdale, New York, and the first flight took place on May 10, 1972, with pilot Howard Sam Nelson at the controls. Production A-10s were manufactured by Fairchild in Hagerstown, Maryland. After trials and a competition against the YA-9, the U.S. Air Force announced the YA-10 selection for production on January 18, 1973. In 1973, the Fairchild Republic Company of Farmingdale was chosen to manufacture the A-10, the first Air Force aircraft meticulously designed for close air support. Crafted for precise weapon delivery at low altitudes, the A-10 holds the record of being the most heavily armed and armored aircraft in aviation history. Initially conceived to counter Soviet tanks in Europe, it has an arsenal of up to 16,000 pounds of Maverick missiles, laser-guided bombs, and a 7-barrel 30 mm GAU-8A Gatling gun cannon. Capable of firing at an astonishing rate of up to 4,200 rounds per minute, no attack aircraft in history has been equipped with a gun possessing the tank-killing capability of the GAU-8A. The A-10 was also engineered to endure a hostile anti-aircraft environment, including anti-aircraft guns, radar-guided and infrared missiles, and the ability to withstand battle damage while remaining operational. The A-10 was the most resilient aircraft ever constructed before the Warthog, owing to its exceptional ease of handling, electronic countermeasures, and self-sealing fuel tanks. With widely separated jet engines, twin tails, manual backup flight control systems, and redundant wing spars, this aircraft was truly one of a kind. The pilot and critical flight control components are safeguarded by a 1-inch thick titanium armor plate. A total of 713 A-10s were produced by 1984 at an economical cost of just $20 million each, and approximately 300 of them will continue to serve with the U.S. Air Force until 2015. The A-10 proved its worth in the 1991 Persian Gulf War, where it demonstrated its worth as the premier tank-killing aircraft in history. A deployment of 144 A-10s to the Gulf resulted in 8,624 missions flown, with only 5 aircraft lost. They decimated a total of 967 tanks, 1,026 artillery pieces, 1,306 trucks, 281 military structures, 53 Scud missiles, 10 grounded aircraft, and 2 airborne aircraft. Pilots often undertook up to 3 missions daily, and collectively, A-10s were responsible for the destruction of a quarter of Iraq's entire arsenal. Several aircraft managed to return to base even after sustaining direct hits from heat-seeking missiles. As the A-10 operates at low altitudes and subsonic speeds, using aircraft camouflage is crucial to enhance its concealment. Various paint schemes have been experimented with for this purpose. These include a peanut scheme incorporating sand, yellow, and field drab colors, black and white colors for winter operations, as well as a mixed pattern of tan, green, and brown. Notably, a false canopy painted in dark gray has been applied to the underside of the aircraft, just behind the gun. This form of automimicry aims to surprise adversaries regarding the aircraft's orientation and maneuver direction. Many A-10s also feature nose art, such as shark mouths or warthog head motifs. Adding to the feature of surprise are two predominant markings right on the A-10. The first marking is the European One Woodland camouflage scheme, which was created to reduce the visibility of the aircraft from above. This is because the perceived threat from hostile fighter aircraft was far greater than that from ground fires. Used during the 1980s up to the early 1990s, this scheme incorporates dark green, medium green, and dark grey shades to blend with the typical European forest terrain. However, with the conclusion of the Cold War and insights gained during the 1991 Gulf War, the air-to-air threat was no longer considered as significant as the threat from ground fire. Consequently, a new color scheme called Compass Ghost was chosen to reduce visibility from below. This two-tone gray scheme involves a darker gray color on the top surface and a lighter gray on the underside of the aircraft, and began to be applied in the early 1990s. Despite these additions, the Air Force was considering the retirement of the A-10 in preference for more advanced aircraft. In January 2015, US Air Force officials informed lawmakers that it would require a 15-year period to develop a new attack aircraft to replace the A-10 fully. During that same year, General Herbert J. Carlisle, the head of Air Combat Command, acknowledged the potential need to develop a follow-on weapon system to succeed the A-10. At first, the Air Force planned to use F-16S and F-15Es for close air support missions. The plan was to use the F-35A as a replacement once a sufficient number of operational aircraft became available over the next decade. In July 2015, Boeing started discussing the possibility of selling retired or stored A-10s in a condition ready for near-immediate use to international customers. But the US Air Force was not having it, as they explicitly stated that it would not authorize the sale of any such aircraft. In the US Air Force's fiscal year 2015 budget, there was a consideration of retiring the A-10 along with other aircraft that served specific roles, with a preference for prioritizing multi-mission aircraft. This approach was seen as the primary means to achieve enough cost savings, as retiring an entire fleet along with its associated infrastructure was seen as necessary. The US Army initially expressed an interest in acquiring some A-10s should the US Air Force decide to retire them. However, later on, they stated that such a scenario was highly unlikely. The Air Force argued that retiring the A-10 would result in savings of $3.7 billion from 2015 to 2019. They pointed out that guided munitions allowed a broader range of aircraft to perform close air support missions, thus reducing the necessity for specialized aircraft. Since 2001, multi-role aircraft and bombers have carried out 80% of operational close air support missions. The US Air Force and the US Army were on opposing sides when it came to the A-10. The Air Force believed that the A-10 was quite vulnerable in the face of modern anti-aircraft weaponry. On the other hand, the Army argued that the A-10 had proven its worth countless times due to its ability to carry different weapons, its psychological impact on the enemy, and how easy it was to move it around. Modern aircraft like the F-35 exhibit significantly higher survivability in combat settings and possess advanced capabilities for detecting and engaging enemy aircraft. That's a lot of competition for it, but the US Air Force wasn't willing to just let the A-10's legacy go down the drain without a fight. The US Air Combat Command announced plans to develop a replacement aircraft in August 2015. In 2016, the Air Force began an examination of potential future close air support aircraft to succeed the A-10. They needed something specifically for low-intensity conflicts, such as counterterrorism and regional stability operations. This assessment recognized the operational cost of the F-35 as being too high for day-to-day close air support missions. Various platforms were considered, ranging from basic options like the AT-6 Wolverine and A-29 Super Tucano turboprops. In January 2016, the U.S. Air Force decided to indefinitely freeze plans to retire the A-10 aircraft. Several factors contributed to this decision. One was the opposition from Congress and the fact that the A-10 was constantly used in anti-ISIS operations. In February 2016, the Air Force postponed the final retirement date until 2022 to replace the A-10 with F-35S on a squadron-by-squadron basis gradually. In October 2016, the U.S. Air Force Materiel Command increased the capacity of the depot maintenance line in preparation for re-winging the A-10 fleet. Then, in June 2017, it was officially announced that the A-10 would be retained indefinitely. The transition from the A-10 Warthog to the Super A-10 was not just a mere upgrade. It was a visionary journey to blend battle-hardened heritage with technology, collaborating with leading defense contractors, engineers and technicians meticulously crafted the Super A-10. Advanced avionics systems were perfectly integrated to improve situational awareness, real-time communication with ground forces, and highly precise targeting capabilities. Engine upgrades were implemented not only to enhance performance, but also to extend the aircraft's endurance and range. Innovation ran through every facet of the Super A-10's design and elevated its capacity to respond effectively to dynamic battlefield scenarios. The weapon systems of the Super A-10 were also subjected to enhancement. The Super A-10 Warthog has a collection of several powerful weapons that solidify its position as one of the most lethal fighter jets in modern warfare. It houses an agile 30mm GAU-8 Avenger Gatling gun with 1,174 rounds, capable of unleashing so much firepower at a rate of up to 3,900 rounds per minute. This cannon ranks among the most potent aircraft-mounted cannons ever taken flight. The GAU-8 operates as a hydraulically driven 7-barrel rotary cannon, meticulously designed for its anti-tank role. It also boasts a high rate of fire. Initially, pilots could switch between firing rates of 2,100 or 4,200 rounds per minute. The GAU-8 demonstrates remarkable accuracy, with 80% of its shots striking within a 40-foot diameter circle when firing from 4,000 feet during flight. This remarkable aircraft can transport a maximum of 16 AGM-65 Maverick missiles and is outfitted with an array of precision-guided munitions, including laser-guided bombs and air-to-surface rockets. With its supersonic flight capabilities and a range extending beyond 2,000 miles, this aircraft is exceptionally well suited for the demands of modern warfare scenarios. The aircraft's critical internal operational components, such as hydraulics, avionics, and fuel systems, were constructed to ensure that the aircraft can remain airborne even after sustaining combat damage that would render most other planes inoperative. The pilot's seating area also provides a reasonable level of armor protection. This super aircraft is robustly equipped with exceptional payload capacity, as it engages both heavily armored and lightly fortified ground targets. The new design optimizes engine power to maintain essential fuel reserves and enable extended loitering over a designated area for hours. This extra waiting time is used while awaiting orders from ground forces or command leadership. But it doesn't end there. The Super A-10 is extremely adaptable, and this is exactly what makes it so important in modern combat. Its role can be dynamically tailored to align with the ever-changing demands of contemporary conflicts, whether they involve traditional close air support, intelligence gathering, electronic warfare, or even humanitarian missions. The Super A-10's versatility extends to its capacity to operate above, below, and within adverse weather conditions, thanks to its ability to carry both precision-guided and unguided missiles. This super aircraft can take off and land with the speed of light, making it very easy to operate close to the front lines. A-10C pilots can conduct night missions through the use of night vision goggles. The aircraft features night vision imaging systems, single-seat cockpits that accommodate goggles, helmet-mounted cueing systems, and a spacious bubble canopy for comprehensive visibility. The pilots are protected by titanium armor, shielding some of the flight control systems. To add to its remarkable capabilities, the Super A-10 can withstand direct hits from 23 mm high explosive and armor-piercing ammunition with self-sealing fuel cells protected by foam both inside and outside the tanks. The single-seat cockpit is fully armored, featuring a titanium bathtub structure that is up to 3.8 centimeters thick to protect the pilot. The cockpit also incorporates large bulletproof bubble canopies, providing excellent all-around visibility. It is equipped with a suite of advanced systems, including a tactical air navigation system, an inertial navigation system, a secure radio communication system, and a head-up display. The pilot is equipped with night vision goggles with the Maverick AGM-65's infrared imaging display available for use. The A-10C serves as a highly accurate platform for delivering weapons while offering excellent ease of movement at low airspeeds and altitudes. It is capable of operating in adverse weather conditions, landing in challenging environments, and maintaining close proximity to the action for extended durations. Not just that, in the Super A-10, you can see as far as 2.4 kilometers and up to heights of 1,000 feet. Impressive, don't you think? It is clear to see that careful steps and precision were applied to the development of the new Blacksnake Super A-10 Warthog. We hope that this aircraft will be fighting on the battlefields of the United States for a very long time. So, what do you think about the newly improved Super A-10? Do you believe that further improvements will be made in the future? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section down below and make sure to subscribe to our channel for more.